What is up? We are live. I'm excited for this. We're going to be talking with Dylan from Phiat.io, and we're going to dive into, there's 5 primary things from my understanding of what Phiat.io can do or is probably going to be used for. Earning money, lending, borrowing, and shorting, as well as hedging. We're just going to dive into some of those topics and I want to get a better understanding. So hopefully you guys can learn with me along this. Without further ado, let's bring Dylan on. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Thank you for coming on.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, very good. So I just learned about Aave recently, like last week. And so I don't know anything about the protocol or anything like that. So I want to learn about it and also get updates on like the SAC that's happening right now.
Yeah, so Aave is pretty much just like a bank on the blockchain, right? Except we won't just be deriving the US dollar, right?
Actually, because people are probably going to still continue to stream in for a few minutes. So can you tell me like how you got into crypto a little bit, and let's hear a little bit about your backstory,
Sure.
and then we'll dive into like Phiat or whatever, because I want to know more about your background personally, and we'll give people time to like get on.
Sure, yeah. So I'm kind of young. I found out about crypto when I was in high school. People talking about the dark web and things like that. But I was a freshman, 2010, right? So didn't look into it further than that. And then got out of high school, didn't really look into Bitcoin until 2017. I watched it top that night in December. It was the craziest shit I ever seen.
Why do you say that? Why do you say it was a crazy? Did you like have positions or whatever, and you were watching it?
No. I had not. I was just watching. If you look up on Google BTC ticker, and you find the website, it's a black backdrop and it's very primitive. But anyways, on that website, it shows you live buying and selling for a bunch of different exchanges, right? And just the amount of volume and movement was insane. It was millions of dollars, and it was extremely quick. I was hooked. So, but I watched it top. I watched it go to 19,000. It hung out there for maybe 10, 20 minutes, and then it shot down real quick.
Did you get into like crypto then, as in starting to buy stuff, or were you trading or?
Yep. So I started buying Ethereum first, right? And in December 2017, started buying Ethereum. I watched it top. Didn't know any better. Didn't sell anything. Watched it go down. And then I slowly got out of Ethereum, and before it dropped past, I think a sixth of a Bitcoin, I swapped it all for Bitcoin. And then I, held Bitcoin for a while.
And then when did you get into, because you were already in Hex, you were already in crypto. Did you get into Hex from the beginning?
Yep. I found Richard on his Roger Ver debate. If you go and look that one up, he says some funny things. If you watch it, Roger Ver gets really pissed. Do you know who Roger Ver is?
So I just got into crypto like 60 days ago. So I'm brand fucking new.
Gotcha. No worries. So Roger Ver is he's proclaimed Bitcoin Jesus, right? But he forked Bitcoin and he made Bitcoin Cash in 2017, and which he claims is the real Bitcoin, right? Obviously Bitcoin Core is the real Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin. Anyhow, Richard went on a live stream debate with him and basically told him that Bitcoin Cash sucks and it's going to go to zero. And he stated, like how Richard does, he states all the reasons why, and he destroys the argument, right? And Roger Ver gets really pissed and he flicks off the camera and he ends the interview, and Richard, he starts laughing. It's hilarious.
I'll have to actually watch that.
Yeah, man, it's great. And so that's how I found Richard, which was I think that was in 2018. That was when Bitcoin Cash was $3,000, and it was climbing versus Bitcoin. Richard.
And so then you just was like, hey, this dude's saying fucking intelligent shit. Let me look into Richard more. And then he was coming out with Bitcoin, or like, wasn't it like supposed to be a copy or like a Hex Bitcoin or Bitcoin Hex or something like that? Originally, somebody told me that the other day.
Yep, it was called Bitcoin Hex. And he just happened to mention it one time on stream. He's like, yeah, I'm, at the very end, he's like, yeah, I'm making this new coin. It's called Bitcoin Hex. It'll probably be out in a couple months. And then 2 years later, it dropped.
Dope. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, he has terrible timing on software. Like, ever since Hex, same thing.
So are you working right now on the team with Phiat?
I'm helping him out doing the like outreach and stuff like that. But as far as any technical stuff, I have no say.
Okay, cool. So can you give me kind of like a broad overview of like what Phiat, you know what I mean? I know you said it was a bank. So what does that mean exactly? You can go
So
in.
when I say it's it's like a bank on the blockchain, I mean, it's like there's going to be a basket of currencies that you can borrow against after you deposit your collateral, right? So, you could deposit Pulse, you could deposit, whatever stable coin will be available. Like right now on testnet, you can go post USDC as collateral, right? And, you can loan up to 85, I think it's 80% LTV of your USDC. I think it's also, yeah, it's also 80%
I'll pull back.
LTV of your.
Well, okay, so let's start with the adding to this, right? Because you can add collateral to the protocol.
Yeah, so if you want to borrow anything, you have to add collateral.
Okay, and then what is it? How do you get liquidated, or like how does when you're borrowing against it, it's collateralized against your holdings, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So if you start to be over collateralized, which you should not do, right? Your collateral will be forfeited, and somebody can, they can buy it at a discount, right? Like if you look at
you said over collateralized.
Correct, or I'm sorry, under collateralized. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go on the website, right, and then you click on Hex, for instance, and you look at the collateral level of Hex, I think it's 50.
Oh, is this on here?
Yeah.
And we also have somebody else that's going to join us too. You guys can say hi to Jim Rat Crypto. I don't know if you've had the chance to interact with him yet, Dylan, but he's going to be here with us too. So nice. He also wanted to learn. Okay, so you said on here, you said to click on what?
So click on Hex.
Okay.
And then you can see your maximum LTV, which would be how much you could borrow against the Hex that you deposit. 60%.
Where are we looking? Sorry.
At the bottom left of that light gray square.
Okay. So let's talk through a number real quick. Okay, so somebody's going to put in 10 grand. They can borrow $6,000.
Correct.
Cool. What causes a liquidation of this?
If your collateral is worth more than your Hex, or I'm sorry, if your loan starts to become worth more than Hex at 65%, you would then be put up for liquidation.
65%. Okay. So
you see the liquidation threshold, that's when,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just pulled this up for beforehand to try to understand this more. Okay, so this is at the 65% level. So Hex drops by 35%. Like obviously the math, you got to run the numbers to see exactly what it would be. But Hex drops by a certain amount. Once it gets down to 65%, you're 5% over collateralized. Your position is liquidated. Right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, cool.
And say you borrow Pulse, right? And Pulse starts going up versus Hex. That could also happen, and Hex stays the same, right? So, but this is not designed. You could do this, right? But you should use this in a way where it's supposed to be for freeing up cash flow. So, say there's a dolphin or a shark that has a bunch of Hex, right? and they need some quick cash, and they don't want to sell their hex on the market. So they can post their hex as collateral. They can take out, a 10% loan on that hex, finance whatever they need to do on in the real world, right? And then pay it back as they see fit. They didn't have to sell any hex. They made their money wherever they needed to make it, right? And there you go.
And so when somebody does this, there's a way to earn through this process too. Well, let me pull this back up again because we already started through this. Okay, so here there's a liquidation penalty, even though there's only a 5% margin here. Do you know what that is?
Click on the little info thing here. Yeah.
When a liquidation occurs, liquidors repay part or all of the outstanding borrowed amount on behalf of the borrower. In return, they can buy the collateral at a discount and keep the difference as a bonus. So if somebody's collateral drops down to 65%,
if then once somebody pays it off, as I understand it, they get another 10% discount on the person that pays off that loan. So the collateral no longer belongs to the person that got liquidated, right? And then to make sure that the lender gets paid back, the collateral is then sold at a 10% discount so that the lender is made whole.
And so go ahead.
But I can confirm that with the devs because I'm not sure about that myself.
Okay, so that sounds, because then it's going to eat into more of the collateral. It would sound like when you're talking about that, right?
Yeah, the collateral will be forfeited, right? Because the main thing that needs to happen is to make sure that the lender is made whole, right? So the person that had their collateral liquidated, they no longer own that collateral, right? It's given to the person that's going to make sure that the lender is made whole.
They already got basically most of their value out of it because they pulled 60% out. The price came all the way down. They still got most of the value at 60% of the total of 65. If it was 65 and change kind of thing, they were able to pull most of it out. Similar to how, like, it sounds like with liquid loans, how theirs when that comes down to say 110%, it's liquidated, and something happens where that is basically the pulse that backs that up goes to the stability pool in some way, but that stability pool is going to be the lenders in the case with Phiat, it sounds like.
I'm not familiar with liquid loans. This will just be like for people that want to buy, for instance, say somebody had USDC as collateral, correct? And say they wanted to max out their loan to value and buy hex, right? And they want to short hex, okay? Because that's entirely possible. So they borrow hex, they borrow 80% of their USDC value, they go sell it on the market, and they hope that the price drops, right? Well, the platform knows that you owe this much hex, and there is a dollar value attached to it. So if the market starts to move against you, you become under collateralized. Okay. Now, once it gets past the liquidation threshold, somebody can come on the market and purchase your USDC at I think a 75% discount because of the liquidation penalty, right? So they can buy 10 grand worth of USDC for $7,500, and then make sure that all they have to do is pay the loan off, essentially. So that's
so you can because I'm thinking about this and I'm like, okay, these are going to be risky in the sense of I don't know if we haven't talked about interest or payment periods, but those might be zero or like no terms on that, right?
No terms. It's just you paid off so you don't get liquidated pretty much.
Okay. So if you have anything that's fucking volatile, this could be pretty. That would just be like anything, right? If you were doing Pulse and like liquid loans, or like that's the only other protocol I know, but like any of those.
You guys got deep 15 minutes in.
Yes.
You guys ain't cut it. You guys ain't cut any corners here. I'm like, we're already like in the meat and potatoes. I'm like, Sam, 15 minutes, bro. You say hi to the chat,
Yeah.
Sam, over?
No, I have not said hi to the chat,
Why
but
don't
what
you
is
say hi to
good?
the chat real quick?
So
Give them a little hot.
just as a little reference, there is you're not going to see very volatile shitcoins and stuff on the platform, right? Because that would cause havoc. Lots of different. It's just that's not what it's used for. You're not supposed to use it in that sort of way, right? So it would be
very, very risky to try to
Exactly.
use something like that or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. So it'll probably be very liquid coins. I would like to see.
But this could be really cool for. Okay, so if I go back on this protocol, 1 second, I think
I got you, Sam. I'll play with this. It's pulled up right now.
Okay. So this is USDC. Okay, so somebody could pull 80%, and then this way with USDC as a like the collateral, you don't really have to worry about being liquidated per se, or you have a much lower risk of being liquidated than you would by holding any other crypto that has some type of volatility if it's not a stable coin.
Depending on what you're borrowing, yes. So like if you're posting your USDC as collateral, right? That means that you would be able to borrow against it. So depending on what you borrow and how much of it you borrow.
Well, is that gonna matter though? How would that matter, right? Because you can go buy something else, and if the value of that drastically increases, then you could sell some of that off and pay off part of the or deposit in there, right?
Yeah.
Or if the value of the loan, if the value of the amount of the thing you borrow drops drastically, you just have because this takes out the piece of the pie in terms of like the volatility associated with the collateral you put in.
So, for instance, if you were to deposit USDC, right, and you borrowed Hex, okay, and say Hex went up a lot, right, you would lose. You would have bought essentially Hex at a if my math is correct, like a 20% discount because you borrowed 80% of your USDC value, right?
Or you just bought 80% worth of what you could have bought, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So, but essentially, if you're wanting to, in this case, this would be a short. This would be the equivalent of shorting. So you would borrow against whatever to buy Hex to then sell it on market, right? And then if the price drops, you would rebuy back and have the same amount of Hex, right? And then just keep the remaining USDC and pay off your loan. That's how you could use this.
But you could also just hold on to Hex, right?
Yep. Yes. Yep.
And increase your exposure, but you just wouldn't be able to buy all of it. You'd still be holding USDC. Correct. As well as
it's interesting to think about the ways that people will play this, or not play this, but the whole concept. And people in the comments, if you don't think this is a part of like a blockchain, then I don't really know what you're like. They're like, this guy Jin Kwan, like I suspect this platform will make things even more volatile in the market. That doesn't make any sense. There's just like as far as like there's going to be a protocol like this, so we're learning about it. Clear, period.
Correct.
And I know this guy probably. I mean, I don't think we've met before, Dylan. But nice to meet you, bro. Because I've been looking at this shit for like 5-6 hours last couple of days, right? So, and just because people talk, they just talk. People just go beep 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 beep. Everyone likes to chit chat, but no one likes to read, right? Yeah. It's like. And so I just caught on to this really early. So these projects, I'm like, can I just go to the guys that are actually in here and just ask them rather than like everyone having to talk to some else? Like everyone has an opinion, Sam. I'm so surprised why everyone has an opinion on things they never even decided to go to the webpage about.
Yeah.
And that's why I get concerned. And that's why I was like, okay, I want to be on live streams like with Sam and stuff because he's way more technical, but I totally understand. Like, so I had a couple of questions for you. as far as more so overarching themes, what is the biggest worry to you guys as far as like another protocol? Like, obviously, it's going to be a worry if Aave does the same thing, right? Because they're ERC20.
But they also have the brand.
So, you know, we all know that Richard has his very strong opinions, right? And he likes to brag and say he's the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that has made other communities not happy, okay? Like Link, for instance, you know, they don't mind coming over to Pulsechain, but, you know, they're not real happy about what Richard says. But, you know, they'll see what it does, but they're not moving they're not lighting fire under their ass right now, right? Once it launches, once it's successful, then they'll move over, right? I don't know anything about the Aave guys, what they're doing, right? There's other chains that, other L1s that have already started, and they have their own respective Aave forks on those chains, right? And this code has been around since 2017, and it's stood the test of time. It had, I don't know if it was at the peak or not, but I know there's at least $16 billion worth of assets on Aave, on Ethereum right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think the what do you call
Aave has a great. This is so interesting to me, and it's hard to sometimes talk to someone who's had so much emotional. Like, it's hard to separate yourself emotionally too, like from your project. I'm sure. Like, I mean, it's like you're, of course, like you're rooting for your own shit, and you know more nuanced shit about this because you think about it every day. You know what I mean? So like there's stuff that you'll know that you'll never be able to explain to us too about the industry, right? Like in Sam too. Like there's just a lot. But I'm trying to kind of decipher because people just immediately they just throw these buzzwords and these like trigger words out there like, okay, there's a sacrifice. So I read through the thing and yeah, you know,
So
obviously there's questions about the sacrifice a little bit, but
well, yeah, I want to definitely talk about the sacrifice in a minute. Like, so how I'm perceiving this, and like, feel free to jump in. It would be kind of, you have two different big categories with any type of protocol like this. You have a crypto that is not pegged to anything, and then you have something that is pegged to the dollar or some type of stable coin that's way less volatile. It's like borrowing against a house. The house is like the stable coin because the volatility of house prices is not crazy like it is in cryptocurrency. So if somebody borrows against something that is extremely volatile, then they're taking on the risk of getting liquidated, which crypto has a high degree of volatility, which means that's a large amount of risk somebody takes on to borrow against it, or they have to be like super way over capital, like a giant amount of collateral. So say if somebody has $100,000, they put that into the protocol and they maybe borrow $5,000 or $10,000 against it to be way over collateralized so they don't lose their bag, because losing the bag also causes a tax consequence. However, if somebody has $100,000 of USDC, they could pull $80,000 out of that instead of $5,000 or $10,000 if they had something else. That $80,000 could then be used to increase exposure by like purchasing Hex or doing some like purchasing two pairs, you know, Hex and like wrapped Hex and something else or whatever, and doing a pair on the Pulsechain or whatever.
I keep commenting with you, Sam. My bad.
You're good. You're good. So cool. Let's get into the comments in a second, but let's talk about the sacrifice phase. How's that going?
It's going pretty good. The cool thing that we're doing here with the SAC is we're trying to limit the amount that we get, right? So, you know, the first 2.5 million is, you know, the prime rate. So you get, the details are on the website, but essentially first 500K got the best deal. The next 1 million got the second best. The third million, or you know, on the website you'll understand.
When I saw it, it was like 45 minutes past launch, and there was about $1.8 million.
Yeah. Yes.
So
it's not refreshing.
Where's nervous? No, you have to go to Etherscan. Just go to Etherscan and put in the address. Or if you wanted to, you don't have to do that at this moment. But like,
I'll pull it up. You're talking.
Anyway, I was very excited. It felt like a horse race. And I was
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, because only how many people know about this shit? Like 5 in the whole fucking world. Like you got to think about how few people knew about this. I was talking about it. I was trying to chit chat about it. People didn't really want to hear it from me, to be honest. So I just had to keep digging. And I'm not saying it has anything to do with the project, but clearly you guys didn't want to have some huge marketing campaign where everyone would just FUD you every single day for the rest of your life.
No, yeah. So we want to keep the valuation low because some of these sacrifices, they're running for months on end, right? Our goal is 2.5 million, right? And then
great job, dude.
It'll be on for maybe a day after that. So, and then it will be removed off of the website at about $4 million. Totally.
Hey, man, that's respectable, dude. Like it's respectable that there's a cap on it. And for one of the guys in the comments, he's like, I think the main question a lot of people have is how would borrowing Pulse on this position be different than LL? Well, first of all, LL doesn't have a testnet. So how am I supposed to play with LL if there's no testnet?
And the other thing is,
I wanted to talk to this guy so much because they had a dope testnet, which made me feel like at least somebody was, they were involved and there's trying to have something out there for everyone. To me, like just assuming LL as position is just ignorant.
Well,
the thing with the
they're two completely different things.
Yeah.
They're right. They're both lending protocols, but like in LL, you're assuming all the volatility risk of being liquidated if Pulse drops down.
Yes.
Where
LL they're not competitors. They're like, for instance, on Ethereum, Aave has never been compared to Liquidity, which is what LL is forking, right?
That's true. Yeah.
They're not competitors. One is a stable coin and one is like a bank, right? Totally different things. Okay?
I'm still confused about LL. I don't understand much about it. I have to go back. That was like a month ago we looked at it.
Yeah.
It's
how are you going to use or how are you personally thinking about using like fiat?
I probably, if there's a lot of volatility in the market, I wouldn't mind opening up, a little bit of loans to either long on a position or short at the top of something that I think may be the top, right? But, I could also just use it as a cash flow source. I haven't,
Can we talk about that?
Sure.
And then if you guys have questions, if you're listening, first of all, you should press the like button, the subscribe button, and if you press the share button, their icons come up, press share, send it over to Twitter, and tag me over there. Don't tag GRC, or you can tag Dylan if you want to, but GRC and I are racing right now to see if I can surpass him over the fitness challenge that we have running. If you want to put that in the comments, GRC, the fitness challenge. Dylan, you want to up your fitness?
Hey,
Dylan,
man.
whatever you got to do, Dylan.
I need
put your email on the damn thing, all right? All right, Dylan, put your email on the damn thing, okay? Put your email in there so I can have another number because now I just want the number to go up because we're excited about the fitness challenge. But it's totally free, and obviously we don't care if anyone else. If you're a healthy weight, like that's kind of what we're hoping for in general. Like we just want people to be a healthy weight. Like I don't want people to go as hard at fitness as me. I don't think it's always necessary, personally.
No, I definitely should not do what I do. Let's ask Dylan some questions and cover some questions that were coming up in the chat here. So this is from the Mango Junkie. Jimrek didn't retweet a single one of Fiat's tweets. Oh, bitch, she's calling you out, son.
Yeah, well, guess what, Mango Junkie? Live every day at 11 a.m. and I talked about him 3 days in a row. So what do I have to tweet about if I'm live every day at 11 a.m.?
Well, you were also in the spaces on Twitter talking about it for an hour.
From 4 a.m. 4 a.m. to my show at 11. I was busting balls about everyone, trying to get everyone to learn so they had an opportunity to learn before the SAC came out. That's all I was doing. And I kept telling people over and over, I don't know the guys. I'm just saying it's a short-term SAC. I read the website. I mean, I don't know much about anything, but it's good to read. But, people don't want to fucking hear shit.
Angel here mentions people are always going to complain about stuff. Angel mentions that LL you have to pay back with USDL, where so do you have to pay back the coin? You have to pay back the coin you borrowed, I would assume, if you're paying off the loan?
Yep.
Okay. And so, like, I'm thinking about this from like a completely selfish standpoint because I'm taking out a loan on my house, but I'm going to buy another house or as a rental property, or yes,
Exactly.
theoretically,
theoretical house loans.
correct. But then I could pay it into USDC and then borrow against it, and then I'd have more exposure in there. But I still have to run the numbers and learn a lot more about
What do you
this.
guys think what, if anything, is different from Aave, just as far as like a feature thing? Is there anything? I don't know much about this space at all. I bought a house and got a loan, but like I've never done any kind of crypto collateralization ever. I'm just learning about it. But I want to prepare myself for the future because I don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah. So
I don't say that out loud.
Legally,
I want to not pay taxes.
Well, in legacy finance, you have the ability to actually leverage your, cash flow or your income, right? Because typically, people can't just pull, 300 grand out of their pocket to buy a house, or they can't pull 300 grand to borrow, 100 grand off of it to then buy a house, right? There's a lot of use of leverage. That's just how the economy works. People use leverage, right? Well, in crypto, it's not easy to do that, right? So the best we have right now is you have this coin that went up a lot, or you have, you're already very wealthy in crypto, and say these coins that you specifically have, you don't want to sell them, right? But you need cash flow to fund business ventures or some sort of activity that you may be doing, whatever it may be, right? Or just a trade. You post this as collateral, the coin that you have, right? You borrow against it with whatever other coin you want, and you pay back the loan when you want. Now, if it's supply and demand based system, so for instance, if somebody borrows the entire pool of USDC, I can do that just to give an example. But the APY for that USDC will go through the roof. It'll go like to 70%, right? Some crazy ass number.
Well, why is that? Why is that? So if there's a pool, if people have deposited $5 million worth of USDC and somebody puts in, say, $25 million of some other token and they borrow, 20% of their bag, which is the total amount of all the USDC in there, you said the interest rate's going to go up. Why is that?
Because, you want...
It's from your understanding. We know, like, you're still learning, just like us. Like, feel free to say it however you feel is most accurate.
It's based off of supply and demand. If you make the money too cheap, everyone will, max everything out, right? So you have to have some sort of penalty for people that really want to borrow everything. So I'll actually, while we're chatting here, I'll go on the website and just.
Hey man, congrats on the sacrifice. I don't care what everyone says, but you don't have to put money into sats. I'm kind of so confused about people because, in the beginning there was a little bit of guerrilla marketing, but these ones are way more calm and just chill. Like, and you can learn about it and look at it way long before you feel like there's any pressure. So I felt really comfortable with the way you guys kind of like let this information out,
Yeah.
And you're super Hexicans, right? You guys have been Hexicans and shit. I obviously don't know you guys personally. I haven't been a Hexican that long.
Yeah, I've been around since day one, right? I actually didn't join a Telegram until February of 2020. So
I've never been so active in the Telegram. It's really hard for me. Distracted.
Dude, I love the Telegrams. I'm an admin in most of the RH channels as well.
Oh, really cool, dude. Oh, cool. So you're on the front lines. You're on the ground. Oh hell yeah.
I'm in there every day. Yeah.
So let's sorry. I want to just talk about Pulsechain for a second because Sam kind of got me excited about this. Sam immediately mentioned the correlation between, and this is totally off the subject a little bit. Sam totally mentioned the correlation between the hex price going up and his vibe for pre-launch getting more excited, right? And because to me, I didn't feel like correlated until people started mentioning it, right? Like it's going to go up, split, and then maybe fizzle out, right? Like it seems like I don't know much about this, But what happens when you take, in your opinion, obviously none of us really know this,
Because you've been in here longer than us.
when you take the supply and you put it on two and one's running, where does the economic mass kind of come from? It seems like it has to split up a little bit one way or the other, in my opinion, but I don't know.
So
to give context, sorry, Dylan, to interrupt.
No worries.
We're talking about this run up, right? So
Yeah.
I believe, I don't know how accurate it is, but I feel that if I have bags in other ERC20s, I would like the largest amount. Like if I want the lowest risk and the highest return possible, I'm not going to hold some shitty fucking ERC20 that I don't know or that doesn't have a close correlation with RH. I would rather take my bag and move it into Hex because that's probably going to hit parity fastest, and it's probably going to have like the least amount of like crazy swings relative to other ERC20s that are just copies of shit. So I think there's going to be people moving their bags into Hex over between now and launch, as well as there's going to be people pulling shit out of LPs, right? Like so on Uniswap or other swaps, they're going to pull if they're doing Hex and something else. Like if somebody's doing, say, I think I looked at the pool size, it was like 12 million or 16 million of Hex and ETH, right? And if you're putting up that bag, right? Say if you put up that total bag, you have 6 million of each. You're like, okay, I can get a copy of my 6 million of Hex, but I get, diddly fucking squat for my 6 million of ETH. Let me sell this down, pull this out, right? So I would expect liquidity to be affected in these other ones, and then they're going to take their ETH and probably switch it for Hex in some other way. So I would expect there to be like a run up in the price between now and launch. And curious to know like where you stand on that, like what you think about that whole thing, because you've had a lot more experience in crypto in general, but also more like than either of us have.
So one thing that I looked at when all of this, when the whole we're forking everything situation was going on, I took a look back at the 2017 chart when Bitcoin Cash forked Bitcoin, and you can see now. Granted, it was already in the middle of a bull run. I'm pretty sure it was August 1st, 2017. I think Bitcoin was maybe 10,000, maybe $8,000, right? And it dipped a little bit after the fork, but it was running up all into the fork, and then all after the fork, it went parabolic anyways. But I think that you'll probably see a run up into the fork of Pulse. You can already see. Oh, Sam lost his computer crashed. And you're muted, sir.
Get out of here, Sam, you dork.
Yeah, he's flipping out on Telegram.
You can keep going. He texted me. I see texting me saying.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see a run up happening on Hex, right? For this leading into the fork. There's a bunch of banter that we have going on in the private chats with Buck, one of the founders of this thing, right? And another person called Moritz, which they both are banned from all the Hex chats, by the way, right? But they're OGs. They hold big bags. Yes.
Well, are they just controversial? Or they just say shit?
Yeah. They just don't give a shit, right?
Yeah.
And so they have a famous bet, right, where Moritz thinks that Hex will be $1 before the end of the year, right? And Buck thinks that it won't. Okay. It's a pretty substantial bet. Anyhow, I personally thought a couple months ago that we would probably see Hex run up, maybe into the dollar range, into the fork. We're starting at pretty low going into the fork. Don't know if we'll make it. That would be kind of exciting if we did, but I definitely think we will see a run up into the fork. Don't know how big it will be. we already have seen people pull out a lot of the liquidity on V2 of Uniswap.
And does that make you feel like the people that are involved in Hex that are just providing liquidity are just moving out? Is that all that means? Or the guys that want to go over to Pulsechain just want to get their copies, I guess, or get it off because the exchanges don't get copied, I assume.
This move with the liquidity happened months ago. So the liquidity in version 2 of Uniswap was pulled at least a month and a half ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in all this stuff?
Like I said, I found Richard. Just found him on YouTube, man.
How old are you?
I am.
If you don't mind, you don't have to say how old you are.
20s.
Some people, yeah,
Early
I'm in my top. I'm 28. It says it right on the phone.
Okay.
Are you around that age? I assume.
I'm younger.
Wow, that's so cool. And do you have a background in finance? Like, did you go to school for finance and stuff?
I do not. No.
Oh, so you're just partying. You're just learning and getting involved like me. Yeah, like I didn't do any school.
Yeah, so
I
once I got hooked on Bitcoin 2017, right? I was reading about this shit every day, studying as much as I can, learning as much as I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just buying little bits of Bitcoin here and there, et cetera, right? And watching smart people like Richard, and just taking note and listening to what people have to say that know what they're talking about. Because some of these people, man, they don't know shit, right?
No, I would say most.
Yeah.
Most people that say
talk like they know
anything. Yeah, they just because what I tell people too is like you're clearly not all over the internet all the time, right? And I just started to be, so I'm starting to realize some of these things about the people. Like, if your workload has anything else to do with studying crypto, like, how can you really do a crypto news show? Like, it's really like crypto changes every single day, and that's like my goal, right? Like, I'm like in that phase you were in, right? Where like you were learning about Bitcoin. I'm just learning shit right now. Yeah, I have sacrificed for everything, and I've had Hex a little since like day 502, and it's been great. But I've never taken any money out of crypto before, so I've never experienced any I don't care that much. I just want to learn so that in the future I don't have to deal with this shit. Like I want to learn about the Hex investment trust shit, the Mountain Advisor shit, all that stuff. So when I get to that point, like I don't want to deal with shit. Like I don't like dealing with my money necessarily all the time. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating, and I hate all this taxes and shit that I got to pay this year. It's ridiculous. So now I'm like stressed out about everything.
Yeah, fun fact: I didn't sell any of my Bitcoin from buying it until I found Hex. I was just a buyer for a couple years.
That's so dope.
Every day or like every other week, I would just buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Ethereum.
Is Richard one of the guys that made you feel confident in Bitcoin? Or was it like, did you find other guys early on that were like talking? Because you had to have like, I mean, at some point, everyone starts reading or looking at someone's video.
I don't remember exactly what it was. I just knew that, this crypto stuff, this is where it's at, right? This is where it's at. Because I knew about it back in high school, and it was, pennies on the dollar back then, right? But I didn't know enough to look into it and stuff, right? And then realizing that, one time on the dark web, you could buy drugs for a bunch of Bitcoin, and now, fast forward a few years, it's like fractions of a Bitcoin, and so it
That's
kind
dope.
of it's been around for a while. This is it, so.
And do you have, as far as like this financial platform, like, is this just something that like as a job, like you wanted to get involved in, like, or do you have a background in that kind of stuff? I know it's a bunch of guys, so I know there's like a team of y'all.
Yeah, so I have never met Buck before in person, but I have been in chats with him since at least a year and a half, right? So these people in these private chats are very intelligent. They know what they're talking about, right? They're great to throw ideas off of and then discuss game theory with, all these things. But As far as what I've been wanting to do, yes, I have. I actually was trying to build a fiat on ramp,
Yeah.
and I was scooped up by some guys. I'm not gonna say who. And I'm working with them on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but neither here nor there. Anyways, I've been wanting to get into crypto as, you know, just because it interests me so much.
Yeah.
Just to have a career in this stuff, anyways, right? So
that's kind of like I don't see me and Sam don't see the next 3 years going us without us thinking about some sort of like value add that you could maybe sneak in there, and because there's lots of value to be added. There's not that many people like. There's no fitness related things in the crypto space. Like that could one day that's probably going to be a big thing. Like I don't know how it will present itself exactly, but like just like video games, like the video game thing is coming in hot. Like I'm sure I don't even have to look at it really. Like the next bull market, there's going to be video games everywhere about shit. You know what I mean? Maybe not for a year or so, depending on the bull market. Go ahead.
There's my buddy's like on the team for Tron. Which I know nothing about the project. I barely even talked to him about it. But all he talks about is how this video game, like video game platform thing or something like that, is going to be absolutely insane. And like what Dylan was mentioning, by the way, my fucking computer crashed. So that's what happens when you use 10-year-old equipment. But now, like you mentioned about the bull run, GRC, like this is going to be crazy. This next bull run with this whole piece going down. Have you thought about how you could utilize something like this to supplement your income or things like that? How? Because like back, I know you guys were talking about other stuff. Thank you for stepping in, GRC, when my fucking shit went down. But like that's how I would like to try to think about using fiat to either like not pay taxes legally and borrowing against shit, or getting double the exposure by using leverage.
These are all things that you can do with fiat. Yes. So one thing that I've learned, just personal experience wise, is to learn as much as I possibly can, and then to be ready when an opportunity arises, right? So this was an opportunity for me to help these guys out, right? I jumped on it, said, hey, look, I'll help you out. I mean, I'll do this YouTube stuff because he does not want to sit on a live stream for 4 hours, right? He's not that type of guy, right?
Hey, if you need any help with any of the YouTube stuff, I got you. I've learned a lot in the last couple. Like, I don't know if that's something you've done all the time, but if you ever have any questions,
this is the second stream I've been on.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good at it. I mean, as far as like, I know the little shit to do now, like
the intricacies and stuff, yeah.
And just to keep it interesting too, because that's our in and of itself is to be able to continue talking. Like doing a live stream versus like a pre-recorded video, it's two completely different things.
Yeah, 100%. But it really solidified that I wanted to do something in crypto after I went and met with the guys in Orlando. I went to Miami to the crypto Starbucks things. I went on some yacht thing down in Miami. That was pretty fun. Talked to a bunch of OGs, right? And then went to Vegas. That was really fun. But I didn't go to the event. I went there, made an appearance, and left, and hung out with other Hexicans the whole time. We went. Anyways, it was just it's great to go meet all these people and to just know that you're not talking to some bot on Telegram or anything. And I don't know, man. It's just great, man. It's like a big happy family, right? And
if we weren't doing this show, or like I wasn't talking to people in crypto all the time, like it definitely would not be as fun or interesting. Because it's like this morning I woke up at 2 a.m. because I was just so excited about crypto, and I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. I got up and I started to like look stuff up and read stuff on it because it's exciting. Has that worn off for you? Because is it like a novelty? Because you've been in it for years. Is it novelty where it kind of wears off over time, or are you still super, super excited telling every single one of your friends about it?
I have stopped telling my friends about this stuff unless a big event is coming up, because it just gets annoying for them, and then they don't give a shit anyways, right?
Yeah.
But
That's what GRC was saying. He's like,
I tell everyone, they're like, on board. I'm like, y'all get to suck my dick. I'm not on board with my friends anymore. They all are annoying as shit, and they're all rich. Like they all have good businesses and shit, and they don't give a fuck. Like they just don't. Like they just don't. Like and I'm telling them like this, that, and the other, and they're like, this is cool, but like they're basically look at you like, can we get a beer or something? Like fuck off. Like you know what I mean? And they're just like smoking joint. Shut up. Like
you know what's funny? The best excuse that I always hear this. Oh yeah, I'll do it next week. I'll look into it next week. You know, I'll get to it when I get home. Right, dude. Every time. You know,
or they're like, I got $100,000 coming in for something in 2 months, or like 40,000 coming in for something in 7 months, and you're like, all right, dude, like hit me up then, and then like 2 years go by, and they see you again, and they're like. They say some other.
You should have told me to buy, bro. Like, dude, come on. What do you want me to do? Like, hold a gun to your head? Like, Jesus.
Yeah, crypto's here to stay. I show people the chart on my IG. All my friends from back home, every single day I post the shit. Today I was posting the shit, the yearly return ROI for every other crypto. I've been posting that stuff. They just don't care. Being in crypto is like you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset, and it's just like being in legacy finance when. You know, getting in early. Like it's just like those guys were entrepreneurs at the time. The buy wall is much easier now. Like we don't need to have $1 million in a business in order to buy crypto, which is nice.
You know, traditional finance is heavily skewed for private investors, and like when you take a stock public, right? Literally, it's just to sell. You know, it's pretty much just to make money off of retail, right? To make money off of dumb people, pretty much. That's how IPOs are. Like for instance, Coinbase. It had negative cash flow 2 years in a row. Then it went positive in 2019, and I believe it was just barely. It was like they made like $300 million, but before then they were hemorrhaging money. For 2 years, right?
But now I think the latest quarter wasn't it like $3+ billion.
I haven't looked. But the thing is, their valuation was 150 times their EBITDA, that's insane, right? If you go and try and buy a local business,
insane, dude. 150 times.
Yeah. So if you go and try and buy a local business, right, you'll be paying maybe. Say for
1 to 3, 1 to 4, maybe.
Exactly. Correct. Yes. Now you make that company pretty large and you go take it public, you can turn around and sell it for 150 times its cash flow.
So this now we're talking about shit that's super interesting. So, but explain that to people who don't know necessarily about like not necessarily what EBITDA is, but like if 150x times. Like you can think of earnings, right? So you take a company that's growing very quickly, that's going to go public markets, you get a giant fucking multiple. So you take this company that is growing very quickly, like Coinbase was doing, right? Even though they were just hemorrhaging cash, and because they're going to be going public, that's one way to like raise money and just sell another product, so to speak. What you don't realize, but stock is another way of another product, so to speak. Just like you have products, right, that they might sell like physical things or services they might sell, that stock is another piece of that. So when you take small companies that's like, say, like maybe 500,000 to 10 million in revenue, you might sell for 1 to 3, 1 to 5, depending on the type of business, the earnings. So if it generates 20% on a $2 million business, 400,000 profit, effectively that goes to the owner. So if you figure 4 times that, you've got what, $1.6 million for a business that's generated $2 million in sales. But when you have something that's like the Coinbase thing, it's so interesting when you look at that. Because you can also take like, have you thought of or considered how companies do roll-ups where you can?
Yes. I actually right before COVID, I was trying to structure a business to conduct some roll-ups personally, right? It was going well. I had a board of directors, I had a nice little structure going. I had some deals lined up, and then COVID hit and I got fucked, right? Everybody got scared. Everybody's like, you know what? I got to protect my ass. I'm out. They're out. And it fell apart. But yes.
What were you gonna roll up?
Water damage restoration companies.
So the company doesn't come in after a storm and do the stuff inside the house?
Yes, or just you drive. Have you ever had a flood in a house before?
Not really. But like maybe I overflood like the bathtub or something. I don't know. But nothing.
Well, I mean,
really, no.
so you've never had to deal with an insurance company and hire some. Okay, so basically, these companies would go in and they'll dry out the house, they'll rebuild it, right? And the cash flows, 30, 40% sometimes, and they make good money, right? And that's one of the businesses that they don't really go away. They're always around. And so it's generally a good idea and it's highly fragmented. So, there's a lot of mom and pop stores that you can take and buy them up very cheap and, roll them up, sell them on do an IPO, right? Sell to the retail. So anyhow.
Wow. So what? Because you could still do that.
Yeah.
That's rolling up is a. I mean, so what Dylan's talking about is like you buy something at say 2.5x their earnings, right? And they're doing $1 million or something, and then you buy 10 of those, and you put them all together, and now you have a $10 million business. Say if you were doing $2 million, right? You put 10 of them together, now you have a $20 million business where instead of it selling at 2.5x, which you purchase all the other businesses for, now maybe it says 8x or 10x, whatever your earnings are. So like that's fascinating. That's also a lot of effort to like put all that together because it's not like a lot of people think about things in that way.
And that is called the economy of scale. And if you want to know a very large case study, you can look up how waste management was formed because it was a roll-up. Because back in the day, you didn't used to have one company that would pick up all your trash. You used to hire, Joe Schmo over here or Joe Schmo over there, right, all over the country. But now, we typically have one trash company, waste management, the WM, green and red, green and yellow. They're everywhere. They were a roll-up. I'm pretty sure they're a publicly traded company now. And, that person, I forgot his name, made a shitload of money doing that.
I bought a landscaping business. I bought 50% of it.
Really?
And I 4 or 5x revenue in like a very short period of time. And then I sold it, but I sold it after I stepped away from it. So I let somebody else run it and just destroyed it. But like I was still able to sell it. But going through that process of buying it, growing it, which is so much fun, and then flipping it, I was like, I want to do this, but I want to add a couple more zeros. I want this to be a much bigger thing because I was just doing organically. Yeah. You can buy revenue as in purchasing an entire entity, but you could also grow it organically. Like you're growing 5 or 10% per month or something, whatever. And I was like, I want to do this, but a much bigger scale. That would be a ton of fun. GRC, I think I talked to you about this, about the business that you used to do. And buying other businesses to put them together 2 or 3 years ago or whatever. Maybe you don't remember, but I was like thinking about it.
Yeah, I remember. But then I found Hex, and there's no overhead, so I was like, like for me at the time, I was just like, once I started learning about crypto and no overhead yield, I was like, this whole business thing is wrecked. Just for me, because my business is on feet. You know what I mean? Not on the computer. If I had a different type of business, it's all about scalability, right? Like at the end of the day, the only thing in business is scalability. Like if you can't scale past a point, then you're just going to be. I was at that point for like 4 years where I was just doing the same thing over and over. I was doing really well, but I was bored as shit. I was so bored.
But that's right, because like I feel like for me personally, if I have to deal with the same problems over and over again, it's just like I'm not growing fast enough because I'm not fixing the fucking problem because I have to deal with it over and over again. Like if I'm sitting at a point, it's like, and I keep hitting the same point again, like that's the issue, then I'm not changing fast enough and I get bored as shit and I will not do that very long because I just don't want to be stuck in that place. So are you not working then right now in the traditional sense?
I have a day job. Yes. I was going to leave I believe, back in January or February, but they asked me to stay. And I said, okay, I'll help you out, right? No worries, but this is not going to be a long-term thing. You know, I'm good, right? So probably not going to be working at a job for much longer now.
Talking about earnings and everything like that. By the way, Richard Hart's going live in an hour. I see a couple of comments. So this is that's pretty dope. So if somebody can post that in the comments, because I'll listen to that and have some dinner at the same time and take some notes for tomorrow, because that'll be super interesting. What are the rates that you can earn on, like, because it seems really low relative to, say, staking on Pulsechain?
If you actually go pull it back up, when we mentioned it earlier, I actually maxed out the USDC pool, and it's been maxed out for like the past hour. And you'll see the APY just for depositing.
Yeah. Let me pull this up
on the testnet. Let me make sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's maxed out.
Let me pull this up.
Testnet.fiat.io. Or just click on the little demo thing at the corner.
Okay, it's just probably loading, and I clicked away from MetaMask trying to load into it, so I think that's why. Okay, should come up here. So what type? Let me pull this up in the background. Is it going to be anywhere even slightly comparable to what you could get from other stuff like that? Because maxing out is probably not going to happen very frequently, right?
It might happen in a very high volatility situation, perhaps, or for a short period of time for a flash loan, perhaps as well. Because that's one of the things that Avi is used for on Ethereum. Yeah, it's just a huge liquidity pool that you can use to quickly borrow. By the way, a flash loan is basically a loan with zero collateral. All you would have to pay would be a transaction fee, and if the loan is profitable, it'll go through. The transaction will complete. But it basically is, you in one block, you take a loan as much money as you want, right? You take a loan with no collateral. It could be hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? And you find an arbitrage or some sort of vulnerability in some, thing, right? And then as long as the transaction is able to be paid back and completely in profit, you would be able to pocket the arbitrage and complete the transaction. And all you had to pay was a transaction fee. That's a flash loan, but that's one of the.
John was talking about this. John McCoy or whatever. I think trying to explain this the other day, but how people use that to steal money. But I'm sure that's not necessarily what you were talking about. You mentioned arbitrage, but he was using it in a different context, but similar verbiage or similar idea, I think.
So, you can say it's theft, but in reality, it's obviously that's not supposed to happen to some coins or projects, right? But people do stupid shit with their coding and stuff all the time. So somebody's going to take advantage of it. This is one of the ways that they could. But essentially, if you didn't want to be unethical or something like that, you could use this as just a simple arbitrage, right? These flash loans, and it wouldn't require you any collateral up front. You would just have to pay a transaction fee, which on Ethereum is expensive, but on Pulse, you can spam it.
So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, if I want to earn yield, like if I'm looking, and obviously this is testnet, so like this is just fake made up shit, right? But the rate that you're going to get as somebody who wants to earn yield is very trivial, and it seemed that way when I put up Aave as well. Is that like?
Remember, it's supply and demand based. So as you can see, I have completely maxed out the USDC pool, right? And so just for putting your coins in the pool, you would get a 77.89% APY. That's the deposit APY, right? Now you would see the borrow APY. That's what I'm paying as a borrower. I'm paying the 89%, right? And that spread in the middle, that difference would be given to the people that have the fiat coin and are staking it on the site. In this case, they would get USDC for just leaving their fiat staked on the site. They would get a share of the revenue of whatever's being borrowed and paid back. Make sense?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So here has the APY and APR, but this is not going to be probably a typical like.
This probably wouldn't happen all the time though.
Yes, I wouldn't think so. And I thought I pulled up Aave, and I'm going to actually share that one real quick because I was thinking about like, hey, I would like to earn yield, and if I have all these different ways of earning a yield, where might be some of the better places to earn yield? And I'm pulling up just for example, right? If somebody's like, say this is I don't know exactly how this one is working, but if you supply your Binance, I think you're earning 2.5%. I think it looks like, would that be maybe in
Yes,
how you would interpret that? Okay.
Yep, deposit APY. Yep.
So like, why do people want to settle for, or I'm not understanding something. Like why, if you could put that into here and you earning 2.5% annually versus, I mean, 2.5% just seems so trivial to me relative to like what's capable. Right, because you could do staking as a single-sided stake on Uniswap v3, and I'm sure that there's sites that show different places where you can stake with pools of 100 million or 300 million TLV, and you can earn 20 to 75, 100+%, or even just being as an LP. So I understand like. So when you put money in, whether you borrow against it or not, is that what you're earning?
Yes. So this is for people that have large positions in things, and they're not maxing out their collateral, right? They're just getting a cash flow out of their asset, right? Nice quick loan that they can cash out and go to the golf course.
So what if somebody just wants to use it for earning, or people don't use the protocol just for earning? That's not how anybody uses it.
With Fiat Yield, can you defer earning?
Right, because I wrote down. I'm on back up. Let me pull up the.
I'm not sure about that, Jim. I can ask.
Okay, on the Fiat site. Let me pull that one up real quick. My sharing ability has diminished, but sub-sharing. On the Fiat site, it says you can actually stake and do things like that, right? Where
yes.
you can earn. So I don't remember for where it was on here. Oh, staking, right? Which is not available yet, or whatever. But you can earn a yield with this protocol. But that's not like the primary objective of the protocol is to allow people to borrow against their holdings to save for tax purposes. Or that's going to be the most common use case for it.
Yes. Now, the coin itself, you can either post it as collateral and borrow against it, or you can stake it and share a revenue with other stakers of the fiat coin, right? Because there is a spread between what you pay, what you receive for just depositing your funds and allowing other people to borrow against it or borrow
So
it.
is that what this is? So 89% versus 77%. There's like
There's a spread.
11 point spread or something, whatever the number comes out to be.
Yep, and that is paid to the people that are staking their fiat.
Okay, so that's the fiat token.
No, it's not paid in the fiat token. This would be paid since you're borrowing.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the fiat token that is staked, is what I meant.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And when you pull out your stake, you'll have a basket of currencies.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So the most used currency that has the highest APY, you'll get the most of. Make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So something probably like a stable.
You could, yeah, probably. You could assume that, yeah.
Okay.
It could definitely be USDC at this moment, right? When I pay back this loan, I'm going to be paying.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
Yes. Okay. That's interesting but it's still not going to be anything It's another way to earn yield effectively if somebody wants to earn yield, but probably the most case is what we were just talking about with what you just mentioned. Jay Quinn, so when a bank pays interest, you automatically get it once a month?
I don't know. It's based off of people that, in particular, the yield itself, since you get the yield once the loan is paid off, or people, whatever they decide to do, either paid off in one lump sum or they do payments, whatever it is, right? Once the loan is paid off, then they're paying part of the interest.
And so, for clarification, there's no interest that somebody has to pay directly. I mean, there's a spread, but like there's no interest directly, as in you have to make a payment every single month. Because when you tell somebody about crypto and you're like, yeah, there's no interest on shit, or like there's no terms on it, right? So people don't have to be like, oh, you're going to pay $150 every single month, or whatever, $15,000 every single month.
Nope, it just creeps up as time goes on. So, and it could creep up. Yeah. So it
increases your loan to value, or like it decreases your over collateralization. Is that accurate?
Yes. It's called your health factor, right? So as that gets lower, once it goes past 1, that means you're available for liquidation, right? So it'll just slowly creep as time goes on, because it's becoming, there's an APY, you have to pay it back. So if you don't pay it back, it'll just creep up. Eventually, you'll get liquidated if you don't pay anything back. And say you borrow like 2 stable coins, or you deposit USDC and you borrow a different stable coin, right? And they're both, they're both $1. But you do it for a long time. In this example, this would be, there's no reason to do this. But in this example, you would just see the creep up of the APY over time, and eventually your collateral would get liquidated because the value of the coin that you're borrowing, because you owe money.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay, that's interesting. So if in a hypothetical example, that clears up a lot of stuff for me because I didn't understand that. Thank you. GRC, did that make sense to you? Like, instead of paying interest, it just goes, it gets added to your balance, so you get closer and closer to liquidation over time.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Super interesting.
So, the sacrifice is still open, I'm pretty sure, for people that are cash plus.
Unless somebody has deposited, like
couple million,
sacrificed like a couple million in the last hour or so, yeah, it should still be open.
I'll check it out and make sure. Why not?
Sam, you need to learn this stuff before you go live. That's the point of going live, brother. That's the point of going live. Their website is blank. There's barely any info on their website.
We're all learning together.
Yeah. So, is this an ERC20 now? No.
This is on Pulse. It's on Pulsechain. You can go on the testnet. You can see it on the PulseX website. And
is the bank interest, you can't defer the earnings to next year. You earn it during the current tax year. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that. So if you are staking, I'm assuming you earn.
Don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the specific parameters that would or would not be decided in regards to the staking stuff, because it's actively being built, as we speak. So if you want to know that stuff, either you can ask in the Telegram, Fiat Crypto, or you can DM me and I'll ask one of the devs.
Cool.
Balance is close. Awesome. Congratulations, bro. The balance is close to that 2.5 million mark.
Oh yeah, nice.
You want to share it?
I think it's like 2,348. Or I had to add the Ether in my mind, so it's the Ether plus 2 million.
The goal is 2.5, but it'll be completely removed from the website if it gets to 4 million.
You heard it. You heard it. That's what they're saying. Let's go. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I like that. I think that's not something a lot of people might do. They would just try to gather as much cash as they could. and extract the value. So that is definitely respectable to actually go through and do that. So
unfortunately,
this is what Jake Klein's question was. With fiat yield, can you defer the earning of the yield for tax purposes? Do you have?
Don't know.
Don't know. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll have more information on this, as things continue to develop.
Yeah.
Did you already answer the question? Is it coming out in the same day as launch for Pulse if launch happens this month or this coming month?
So the coin will be out, within the day of launch, yes. But as far as the the front end and the operations of the actual protocol and stuff, that will be maybe 3 weeks out from launch, and that will also allow enough time for all of the volatility to kind of relax, to make this usable essentially. But yeah, so it won't be immediately available, but if you sacrificed, you will have your balances. Okay. As far as loaning and stuff, it'll be a couple weeks.
Cool.
Cool, man.
This has been awesome. This has been helpful. Thanks for coming on and just sharing what you know. And like I know I was asking you questions that you're like, I don't have that fucking information, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on and just be open and honest about this, like being a Hacks OG and sharing all the information that you do know about this process. GRC, was there anything else you want to mention? If you guys are enjoying it, make sure you take a second and subscribe.
Smash the like, guys. Nah, man, I'm just still trying to learn, right? Like this all still new. Everyone has to. I just want to get used to studying projects too. Like, to be honest, it's kind of what I like to do. So like going through each one by one is much easier because you see a lot of the things people say and what's not true a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Like when people start talking, you can quickly realize which ones have any merit because they'll just use detail. And I'm just starting to realize like there's a lot of people in the space that just want to wiggle around stuff. And then there's guys that are a little bit more straight shooters. And those are the guys that kind of gravitate towards, like, I don't care if it's a business or not. I just want people that are being honest.
Yes.
I don't know what this guy mean. And where does the fiat sell pressure come from? Reuse case.
Can you guys discuss what you think is the best way to use this Aave fork for income? And where does the fiat sell pressure come from in terms of use cases? So I don't know what your thoughts are, but it doesn't sound like people are going to really use this for income. That's going to be a secondary thing. What are your, from my understanding of just having this brief conversation with you, I read through the website. There wasn't a ton of information on there yet, but it seems like it's going to be far more for taking some value off the table without having a tax consequence, right? If somebody has a big run up in prices and they want to sell their shit, it causes a lot of taxes. So instead of selling, you can just put it into this protocol, pull some value off the table so you don't have to pay the taxes in that time. So that's why it's a tax efficient way to use it. I think that's probably going to be the most effective. That's probably going to be the biggest use case. And when somebody puts money into there, how do they get the fiat? Or is fiat?
They don't get fiat.
Well, fiat's only limited. There's only like 55 million tokens, period, ever,
correct.
Right?
Yeah, there's no inflation. That's the coins you get is the coins you get, right? There's 55,555,000. That's it. Okay. And the owners of fiat can stake their coins. They never have to pull it out. They can just pull out yield as time goes on from the basket of currencies that are being used, right? There's no time lock. There's nothing like that. It's as time goes on, people use it. They borrow all different things here and there, and then you just get a basket of coins whenever you see fit to pull them out, essentially. So you could find a passive income in that sort of way if you don't have a big bag to loan out to people, right? You could. So
there's going to be pairs of say Pulse and Fiat, or Pulse X and Fiat, or Pulse or Hex and Fiat. There's going to be some, even if it's a relatively low amount. There's going to be some. I would think probably a lot of people are just going to stake it. Somebody could acquire a bag of Fiat and then stake it and use that for building a diverse portfolio or as some type of income if they wanted to sell the assets they got.
Correct. Yep. You could go buy it on the market and stake it, or As far as I know, the sacrifice is still open, and you can get the coins that way as well.
Cool.
If it's past the 2.5 million, you're getting the worst deal, but you still have the ability to sacrifice. So
Cool.
I got in the first million. No big deal. First million club.
2.4 million, less than 24 hours. Congratulations, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Like, for all you guys chasing your dreams, going after these goals, working in crypto, I applaud you. That's what I like to do too. And I see the passion in people because, like, for people that are really smart and they're in this, you're just like, yeah, like you just get it. You're like, this is the smart shit to be doing, like straight up.
Yeah. And I really like the community, right? I ran some Hex ads early on, just a few YouTube ads before they were banned. And I personally, when I became admin, I bought the Combot for Hex trading and, made it what it is today in regards to, the random shit. Like if you type when launch in Hex trading, you'll get some random Combot message that it's just a joke, right? It'll say, please admin my whole life into this coin or some random shit. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, love this community, right?
Yes, dope.
Love hanging out in this shit every day in the trenches of Telegram.
Do you want to show your Twitter real quick, and then I think we're gonna wrap things up.
That's cool.
What's your Twitter if people want to reach out to you and ask questions about Phiat?
So if you want to ask me questions about that stuff, I don't have notifications on for my Twitter. So hit me up on Telegram, right? It's just Hexistan at Hexistan. That's how you get a hold of me.
That's the name right here at the bottom.
Yep,
Cool.
I'm on that show all the time. On Twitter, my @ is @BB_trippin'. Like bitches be tripping. Yeah, I was kind of young when I made it, so.
Bullish Vincent's nice product. He sacked, and I hope it all works out. Good luck. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you for everybody who's taking the time to leave a comment. Appreciate your time here. Hopefully, we'll see you over on the Richard Hart live stream. And if you're over there, say hi. I'll be in the chat over there as well. I'm sure GRC will probably be over there, and Dylan might be over there as well. So thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. EST. We're going to be back live again at 11 EST, probably covering some updates from the live stream. So appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, gentlemen.
Peace out.